Most people wake up every morning feeling tired, not because they didn't sleep enough, but because they are tired of the life they are living. They open their eyes and immediately feel pressure, stress, and frustration. The alarm goes off, and instead of excitement, there is resistance. But listen to me carefully. Life was never meant to be something you escape from at night. It was meant to be something you wake up hungry for. A life you can't wait to wake up to doesn't happen by accident. It is built intentionally, daily, through choices that most people are unwilling to make. You were not created just to survive. You were created to live with purpose. And when you wake up with purpose, you don't need motivation. Motivation is temporary. Purpose is permanent. When you know why you are waking up, your feet will hit the floor even when your body feels tired. The problem is not your alarm clock. The problem is that you haven't given your mornings a reason to matter. When you connect your daily actions to a bigger vision, mornings stop being a burden and start becoming an opportunity. So look at your life honestly. Look at your environment. Look at what you listen to, who you talk to, and what you tolerate. Your environment is either feeding your dreams or starving them. You cannot build a powerful future in a toxic environment and expect different results. At some point, you have to be brave enough to change what surrounds you, even if it means walking alone for a while. Growth requires separation. Elevation requires sacrifice. Everybody says they want a great life, but very few people want the discipline that comes with it. Discipline doesn't feel good in the moment. Discipline is waking up early when your body is begging you to stay in bed. Discipline is working when nobody is clapping for it. Discipline is staying consistent when progress is slow and invisible. But discipline is the bridge between the life you have and the life you dream about. You don't create a meaningful life by doing what feels good. You create it by doing what is necessary. Stop romanticizing comfort. Comfort feels good today, but costs you tomorrow. Comforts tell you to wait, to delay, to start later. Comfort will make excuses sound reasonable and procrastination feel harmless. But comfort is a thief. It steals time, potential, and greatness quietly. A life worth waking up for is built in discomfort. When you push your limits, challenge your habits, and demand more from yourself than you ever have before. Pain is not your enemy. Pain without vision feels like suffering, but pain with vision becomes preparation. If you know where you're going, you'll endure what you're going through. Every struggle is shaping you. Every setback is training you. Every difficult morning is strengthening your character. When you wake up with vision, even hard days feel meaningful because you know they are part of the process. Stop chasing success and start building the person who deserves it. Success doesn't change people. People change first, and then success follows. Before your results change, your identity must change. You have to see yourself as disciplined before discipline shows up. You have to act like a winner before winning becomes visible. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build through action. Your future is being written by your daily habits. Not someday, not next year. Today, what you do consistently is who you become eventually. Small actions repeated daily will create a life so meaningful that sleep will feel like a pause, not an escape. You won't dread mornings anymore because your days will be aligned with your purpose. Let 2026 be the year you stop negotiating with yourself. No more half effort. No more excuses. No more quitting when things get uncomfortable. Decide that showing up is non-negotiable. Decide that your standards are higher than your feelings. Decide that you will keep promises to yourself even when nobody is watching. You don't build a life you love overnight. You build it by how you wake up, how you work, how you sacrifice, and how you grow. One day, you'll open your eyes in the morning. Instead of wishing the day would end, you'll feel gratitude that it's beginning. Not because life is perfect, but because you are becoming powerful. And when that happens, you'll know the truth. You didn't just wake up to another day. You created a life you can't wait to wake up to. Most people wake up every morning because they have to, not because they want to. The alarm goes off, and before their feet even touch the floor, their mind is already tired. Not tired from lack of sleep, but tired from a lack of meaning. They wake up carrying pressure, responsibility, fear, and routine, and they call that life. But deep down, something feels wrong. Life was never meant to feel like a punishment you repeat every single day. It was meant to feel like a mission, And the difference between waking up with excitement and waking up with exhaustion is not your circumstances, it's your purpose. When you wake up without purpose, every morning feels heavy. The smallest tasks feel overwhelming. Even rest doesn't refresh you because your spirit is still empty. But when you wake up with purpose, something shifts. Your body may be tired, but your mind is alert. Your situation may be difficult, but your direction is clear. Purpose gives weight to your waking hours. It gives meaning to your struggle. It gives your mornings a reason to exist. Most people think motivation is what they need to change their life. They scroll through videos, listen to speeches, wait for that emotional high. But motivation is temporary. Motivation fades the moment things get hard. Purpose does not. Purpose wakes you up even when motivation disappears. Purpose doesn't ask how you feel. Purpose reminds you who you are and where you're going. You don't hate waking up early. You hate waking up to a life that doesn't inspire you. You don't hate working hard. You hate working hard for something that doesn't matter to you. When your life lacks direction, every effort feels pointless. But when you know why you're doing what you're doing, effort becomes fuel instead of frustration. Purpose doesn't always start big. Sometimes it starts as a quiet dissatisfaction, a feeling that there must be more than this. More than just surviving, more than just paying bills, more than just repeating yesterday. That feeling is not weakness. That feeling is a signal. It's telling you that your current life no longer matches your potential. Waking up with purpose means you connected your daily actions to a future you care about. It means you understand that today is not random. Today is a building block. Every morning becomes an investment, not an obligation. You stop asking, how do I get through the day? And start asking, how do I grow today? Most people let life decide their mornings. Their phone, their job, their problems control how they wake up. But purpose-driven people decide before they sleep why they will wake up. They don't wait for the day to happen to them. They happen to the day. They wake up with intention, not interruption. Purpose is not about having everything figured out. It's about knowing the direction, even if the details are unclear. You don't need the full map. You just need the next step. And when you wake up knowing the next step matters, you move differently. You talk differently. You carry yourself differently. A purpose-filled life doesn't remove struggle. It redefines it. Hard days don't feel meaningless anymore. They feel necessary. Pain stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like preparation. When you wake up knowing that today's effort is shaping tomorrow's reality, you don't complain as much. You endure more. You grow faster. Many people confuse busyness with purpose. They fill their days with activity but still feel empty at night. Purpose is not about doing more. It's about doing what aligns with who you are becoming. You can be busy and still lost. Purpose brings clarity. It cuts away distraction. It helps you say no to what doesn't matter so you can say yes to what does. Waking up with purpose also means taking responsibility. Responsibility for your growth. Responsibility for your attitude. Responsibility for your future. Purpose-driven people don't blame the morning for being hard. They understand that greatness is built early, quietly, when nobody is watching. They know that every time they choose purpose over comfort, they are shaping a life they will be proud to wake up to. You were not designed to live on autopilot. You were designed to create, to build, to contribute. When you ignore that design, life feels dull. When you honor it, life becomes meaningful. Purpose is what connects your inner potential to your outer actions. Without it, your energy leaks everywhere. With it, your energy becomes focused. Some mornings will still be difficult. Purpose doesn't mean you'll always feel excited. It means you'll always feel committed. There's a difference. Excitement is emotional. Commitment is intentional. Purpose gives you commitment. It keeps you moving when feelings fail. When you wake up with purpose, you stop waiting for the perfect moment. You understand that progress is made in imperfect condition. You stop waiting to feel ready. You act your way into readiness. Purpose teaches you that consistency beats intensity. Showing up beats showing off. Purpose also gives your mornings identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is stuck and start seeing yourself as someone in progress. That shift alone changes everything. You don't wake up asking, why life like this? You wake up saying, oh, this is part of my process. Most people wake up thinking about what they lack. Purpose-driven people wake up thinking about what they're building. Lack drains energy. Vision creates energy. When your mind is focused on what you are creating, not what you are missing, your mornings feel lighter, even if your life is heavy. Purpose doesn't arrive when life becomes easy. It appears when you decide to live intentionally. It grows when you commit to becoming better than yesterday. It strengthens when you stop running from responsibility and start embracing it. A life you can't wait to wake up to is not a life without problems. It's a life with direction. Direction gives hope. Direction gives patience. Direction gives resilience. When you know where you're going, delays don't destroy you. Setbacks don't define you. Criticism doesn't stop you. You don't find purpose by waiting. You find it by moving, by trying, by learning, by committing. Purpose reveals itself through action, not imagination. The more you act with intention, the clearer your purpose becomes. Every morning is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you wake up with purpose, you cast your vote wisely. You understand that one day doesn't change a life, but thousands of purposeful days do. Stop letting your mornings be controlled by fear, stress, or routine. Decide why you wake up. Decide what matters. Decide what matters. Decide who you are becoming. When your mornings are powered by purpose instead of pressure, life stops feeling like something you survive and starts feeling like something you create. And one day, you'll wake up and realize something powerful. The alarm didn't wake you up. Your purpose did. Your life is shaped long before results show up. And most of that shaping happens quietly through your environment. Not just the place you live in, but the people you keep around you, the conversations you entertain, the content you consume, and the standards you tolerate. Many people say they want to change their life, but they refuse to change their environment. And that contradiction keeps them stuck. You cannot grow in the same conditions that are shrinking you and expect a different outcome. Every environment sends a message. Some environments whisper belief, discipline, and possibility. Others constantly remind you of fear, limitation, and excuses. Whether you realize it or not, you are always absorbing what surrounds you. If you are constantly around negativity, doubt, laziness, and low expectation, it will slowly become your normal. Not because you chose it consciously, but because repetition creates acceptance. Over time, what once bothered you becomes what you tolerate, and what you tolerate eventually becomes who you are. People often underestimate how powerful their surroundings are. They think strength alone is enough. They believe they can stay in unhealthy environments and still rise above them through willpower. But even the strongest mind gets tired when it has to fight its surroundings every single day. Growth should be challenging, but it shouldn't feel like constant self-sabotage. At some point, you have to stop proving how strong you are and start placing yourself where strength is supported. Look closely at the people around you. Do they challenge you or comfort you? Do they push you forward or pull you back? Do your conversations revolve around growth or gossip, solutions or complaints, vision or excuses? This doesn't mean the people around you are bad. It means they may be incompatible with the future you are trying to build. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going, and holding on to everyone will slow you down. Growth often requires separation, and separation is uncomfortable. It feels lonely. It feels selfish. It feels unfamiliar, but isolation for growth is not rejection. It is preparation. It is preparation. Sometimes you have to walk alone for a season so you can stand strong for a lifetime. The problem is that many people are afraid of being alone, so they stay surrounded by people who keep them small. Comfort feels safer than growth, but safety without progress becomes a prison. Your environment also includes what you listen to when nobody is watching. The music you play, the videos you consume, the voices you allow into your mind. Your mind is a garden, and whatever you feed, it will grow. If you constantly consume negativity, drama, and hopelessness, your thoughts will reflect that. But if you intentionally expose yourself to ideas that challenge you, stretch you, and inspire discipline, your mindset begins to shift naturally. A powerful environment doesn't just motivate you, it normalizes growth. When you are around people who work hard, discipline stops feeling extreme. When you are around people who think big, belief stops feeling unrealistic. Standards rise quietly when excellence becomes normal around you. That's why environment matters so much. It doesn't force you to change. It influences you to evolve. Many people say they don't have support. Support doesn't always look like encouragement. Sometimes support looks like accountability. Sometimes it looks like discomfort. Sometimes it looks like being around people who don't let you stay the same. An environment that truly supports growth will challenge your excuses, not validate them. It will demand more from you than you demand from yourself. You cannot build a powerful future in a toxic environment and expect consistency. Toxicity drains energy. It creates emotional fatigue. It keeps you reacting instead of creating. When your energy is constantly spent managing negativity, you have very little left to build your dreams. That's why changing your environment is not a luxury. It's a necessity. This doesn't mean you can immediately leave everything behind. Sometimes changing your environment starts internally. It starts with boundaries, with limiting access, with choosing silence over unnecessary conversation, with choosing focus over familiarity. You may not be able to leave physically, but you can leave mentally long before you move physically. An elevated environment also requires higher standards. Standards for how you speak, how you show up, how you treat your time. When you raise your standard, certain environments will automatically reject you. And that's okay. That's not loss. That's alignment. Everything that falls away is making room for something that fits who you're becoming. Many people stay in environments that no longer serve them because they are loyal to the past. But loyalty to who you were should never be stronger than commitment to who you are becoming. Growth requires honesty. Honesty about what drains you. Honesty about what limits you. Honesty about what no longer fits. When you place yourself in an environment that challenges you, you will feel uncomfortable at first. You may feel behind. You may feel inadequate. But that discomfort is a signal that you are expanding. That's the price of growth. Staying where you feel superior may protect your ego, but it will starve your potential. Your environment should remind you of your goals, not distract you from them. It should support your not test it unnecessary. When your surroundings align with your vision, progress becomes more natural. You don't need to fight yourself as much. Focus becomes easier. Consistency becomes sustainable. A life you can't wait to wake up to is building environments that stretch you, refine you, and remind you of who you are becoming. When you change what surrounds you, you change what you believe is possible. And when belief changes, behavior follows. You don't need permission to outgrow places, habits, or people. Growth doesn't require approval. It requires courage. Courage to choose your future over familiarity. Courage to walk away from what feels comfortable but keeps you stuck. Courage to build an environment that reflects your vision, not your past. One day, you'll realize that changing your environment wasn't abandoning anyone. It was choosing yourself. And that decision will be one of the reasons you wake up grateful, focused, and excited for the life you're building. Everybody talks about wanting a better life, but very few people are willing to pay the price that comes with it. They want the reward without the routine, the success without the sacrifice, the freedom without the discipline. And that's why most people stay stuck dreaming instead of building. A great life is not created by wishful thinking. It is created by disciplined action repeated day after day, long after the excitement fades. Discipline is not loud. Discipline doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need applause. Discipline happens quietly, early in the morning, late at night when nobody cares. It is choosing to do what needs to be done even when every part of you wants to do something easier. That is the real price of a life you can't wait to wake up to. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is punishment. They think it means suffering, restriction, and misery. But discipline is actually freedom. The discipline to wake up early gives you control over your day. The discipline to work on your skill gives you options in life. The discipline to say no to distractions gives you time. Without discipline, you are controlled by your moods, your cravings, and your circumstances. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your discipline. Goals are important, but discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. Motivation will leave you the moment things get uncomfortable. Discipline stays. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done. Every life you admire is built on habits you don't see. Nobody sees the early mornings, the lonely nights, the sacrifices, the boring repetition. They only see the results and call it talent or luck. But behind every successful person is a long season of discipline where quitting would have been easier than continuing. Discipline is choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. It's choosing progress over comfort. It's choosing growth over excuses. Every time you choose discipline, you are telling your future self, I care about you. And every time you avoid discipline, you are stealing from your future. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. Discipline acts before readiness shows up. Discipline understands that clarity comes after action, not before it. You don't wait to feel motivated to work. You work until motivation catches up. That's how discipline builds momentum. A disciplined life is not built in dramatic moments. It's built in small decisions that seem insignificant at the time. Getting up when the alarm rings, finishing what you start, doing the work even when no one is checking. Those small decisions compound over time and create massive change. Discipline also requires structure. A life without structure eventually collapses under pressure. When you have routines, you remove decision fatigue. You don't debate whether to work or rest. You already decided. Structure protects your energy and directs it toward what matters most. Many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. Talent without discipline burns out. Potential without discipline stays untapped. Discipline turns average effort into extraordinary results over time. It is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about showing up consistently. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. Days when your body is tired, your mind is foggy, and progress feels slow. Those are the days that matter most. Anyone can be disciplined when things are going well. True discipline shows up when things are hard. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Not because life gets easier, but because you trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself, fear loses its power over you. You cannot build a meaningful life by doing what feels good all the time. Comfort is addictive. It convinces you that rest is deserved before work is done. Discipline reminds you that rest feels better after effort. The satisfaction of earned rest is different from the guilt of avoided work. A disciplined life also teaches patience. Results don't come instantly. Progress is often invisible at first. Discipline keeps you working even when there's no evidence that it's paying off. It trusts the process. It understands that growth is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Many people quit right before the breakthrough because discipline hasn't yet produced reward. They mistake delay for failure. But discipline understands timing. It knows that seeds take time to grow. It stays committed during the waiting season. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's about being honest. Honest about your weaknesses. Honest about your distractions. Honest about what you need to improve. Discipline doesn't judge. It corrects. It doesn't shame. It trains. A disciplined person doesn't need external pressure. They apply internal standards. They don't need someone watching to perform. They perform because excellence has become their identity. Discipline turns effort into character. Your future lifestyle will demand discipline you don't yet have. That means you must start training for it now. You don't wake up disciplined one day. You build discipline gradually through repetition and resilience. When discipline becomes part of who you are, life changes. Mornings feel purposeful. Days feel productive. Nights feel peaceful. Not because life is easy, but because you earned your rest. You know you showed up. You know you gave effort. A life you can't wait to wake up to is not built by chasing happiness. It is built by committing to discipline. Happiness follows discipline. Fulfillment follows effort. Confidence follows consistency. One day you will wake up and realize that discipline didn't limit your life. It expanded it. It didn't trap you. It freed you. And you'll be grateful that you chose discipline when it was hard because it gave you a life worth waking up for. Comfort is one of the most dangerous illusions you will ever face in life. It doesn't attack you loudly. It doesn't threaten you openly. Comfort speaks softly. It tells you that you deserve rest before the work is done. It convinces you that waiting a little longer won't hurt. It whispers that tomorrow will be a better time to start. And before you realize it, weeks turn into years and potential turns into regret. Comfort doesn't destroy lives instantly. It slowly puts them to sleep. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they get comfortable. comfortable with their excuses, comfortable with their routines, comfortable with staying where they are even when they know deep inside they are meant for more. Comfort creates a false sense of safety, but that safety comes at a high cost. It costs growth, it costs hunger, it costs the life you could have lived. Comfort feels good in the moment, and that's why it's so tempting. Sleeping in feels good. Avoiding difficult conversations feels good. Staying in familiar situations feels good. But comfort never asks you about the future. It only cares about how you feel right now. And a life built around short-term comfort will always collapse under long-term pressure. Every breakthrough you admire came from discomfort. Every strong mind was shaped under pressure. Every meaningful transformation required someone to choose what was all over what was easy. There is no growth without resistance. Muscles don't grow without strain. Confidence doesn't grow without challenge. Character doesn't grow without discomfort. Yet people keep running from the very thing that will make them stronger. Comfort convinces you that struggle means something is wrong, but struggle often means something is working. Discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you are stretching beyond your current limits. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid expansion. You stay the same while life demands more from you. Many people confuse peace with comfort. Peace comes from progress. Comfort comes from avoidance. Peace is earned through effort. Comfort is borrowed and always demands repayment later. You can borrow comfort today, but you will pay for it with stress, regret, and frustration tomorrow. Comfort also makes excuses sound intelligent. It tells you that you're tired, that life is unfair, that you've already done enough. It makes quitting feel logical and delay feel responsible. But comfort never tells you the truth, that the pain of discipline is temporary, while the pain of regret is permanent. A life worth waking up to is not built in ease. It is built in moments where you want to quit but choose to continue. In moments where fear is loud but commitment is louder. In moments where comfort offers you an exit and you say no because your future matters more than your feelings. Discomfort forces you to meet parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It reveals your strength. It sharpens your focus. It exposes your weaknesses so they can be trained, not hid. Comfort hides weaknesses. Discomfort develops them into strengths. Most people stay comfortable because they are afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of looking foolish. Afraid of not being good enough. But comfort doesn't protect you from fear, it feeds it. The longer you avoid challenges, the bigger fear becomes. Courage grows through action, not avoidance. Comfort keeps you addicted to familiarity. Even when familiarity is painful, it feels safer than the unknown. People stay in situations they hate because at least they know what to expect. But familiarity without growth is a slow form of self-betrayal. You don't need a dramatic reason to leave comfort. Knowing you are meant for more is enough. Discomfort demands honesty, honest effort, honest reflection, honest accountability. Comfort allows you to lie to yourself gently. It allows you to pretend you're trying when you're really stalling. Growth begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about how much effort you're actually giving. You don't need to destroy comfort completely. Rest is necessary. Recovery is important. But comfort should be intentional, not habitual. Rest should be earned, not escaped into. When comfort becomes your default, progress stops. Every day you are choosing between the discomfort of growth and the discomfort of staying the same. One is painful now, rewarding later. The other is comfortable now and painful later. There's no option without discomfort. The question is which discomfort you are willing to live with. Discomfort trains discipline. It teaches you that you can survive hard moments. It builds trust with yourself. Every time you push through discomfort, your confidence grows. Not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. Comfort delays urgency. It makes you feel like time is unlimited. But time is not waiting. Opportunities don't pause. Life doesn't slow down because you're unsure. Comfort steals urgency, and urgency is the fuel of change. A life you can't wait to wake up to requires courage, the courage to feel uncomfortable, uncertain, and exposed. It requires choosing effort over ease, growth over convenience, and discipline over desire. Not once, but repeatedly. One day you will realize that comfort was never your friend. It was a test of how badly you wanted more. And when you finally choose discomfort, you won't lose peace. You'll gain purpose. You won't lose happiness. You'll earn fulfillment. The moment you stop romanticizing comfort is the moment your life begins to change. That's when mornings start to matter. That's when effort feels meaningful. That's when you stop surviving and start building a life worth waking up for. Pain is something everyone experiences, but very few people truly understand. Most people see pain as an enemy, something to avoid, something that means life has gone wrong. They spend their energy trying to escape it, numb it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But pain is not the problem. Pain without direction is the problem. Pain without meaning becomes suffering. Pain with vision becomes power. When you don't know where you're going, every hardship feels pointless. Every setback feels personal. Every delay feels like punishment. That's why so many people break under pressure. Not because the pressure is too heavy, but because they can't see beyond it. Vision is what gives pain context. Vision tells you that this moment is not the end of the story. It reminds you that what you're going through is connected to where you're going. Vision doesn't remove pain. It transforms it. The struggle is still there. The fatigue is still real. The disappointment still hurts. But now the pain has a job. Now it's doing something for you instead of to you. Pain becomes a teacher. Pain becomes a trainer. Pain becomes preparation for a version of you that couldn't exist without it. Think about how many people give up not because they are incapable, but because they are confused. They are hurting without understanding why. They are suffering without a sense of direction. When pain feels random, it drains you. When pain feels intentional, it strengthens you. Vision turns chaos into a process. Every meaningful life includes pain. There is no exception. Anyone who has built something significant has bled for it in some way. Mentally, emotionally, physically. But the difference between those who rise and those who quit is not pain tolerance. It's clarity. Those who rise know what the pain is for. Vision allows you to endure what others avoid. It allows you to keep showing up when the results are invisible. It allows you to stay committed when quitting will bring temporary relief. When you can see the future you're working toward, the present struggle stops feeling like a dead end and starts feeling like a bridge. Pain has a way of stripping away illusions. It removes comfort, it removes ego. It exposes what really matters. That's why pain is often the birthplace of clarity. In moments of pain, you find out who you are, what you value, and how badly you want the life you say you want. Vision helps you use that clarity instead of being crushed by it. Without vision, pain creates bitterness. With vision, pain creates wisdom. Without vision, pain leads to blame. With vision, pain leads to growth. The same pain that breaks one person builds another. The difference is not the pain, it's the perspective. Vision doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be detailed. It just has to be real. You don't need to know exactly how everything will work out. You just need to know why you can't quit. Vision is the reason you keep going when your emotions are exhausted. Many people wait for pain to end before they move forward. But pain doesn't wait. Life doesn't pause until you feel ready. Vision teaches you how to move forward while it hurts. It teaches you how to build while you're tired, how to believe while you're uncertain, how to act while you're afraid. Pain also humbles you. It reminds you that growth has a cost, that nothing meaningful comes without resistance. Vision keeps you humble without making you hopeless. It allows you to accept pain without letting it define you. You stop asking, oh, why is this happening to me? And start asking, oh, what is this preparing me for? There are moments when pain feels unfair, when you've done everything right and things still fall apart. Vision doesn't deny that reality. It doesn't pretend everything makes sense. It simply says, this is not wasted. It simply says, this is not wasted. That belief alone can save you from giving up. Pain sharpens focus. It forces you to choose what matters and let go of what doesn't. Vision tells you where to aim that focus. Without vision, pain scatters your energy. With vision, pain concentrates it. Some of your greatest strengths are born in painful seasons you never asked for. Resilience, patience, discipline, empathy, leadership. These qualities are rarely developed in comfort. They are forged in difficulty. Vision helps you recognize that what feels like a breakdown may actually be a breakthrough in disguise. Pain exposes weakness, but it also reveals potential. It shows you how much more you can handle than you thought. Vision helps you remember those lessons when the next challenge arrives. It builds confidence that is rooted in experience, not fantasy. Many people quit right before pain turns into progress. They mistake discomfort for failure. Vision teaches you that discomfort is often a sign of expansion. That growth feels tight before it feels strong. That pain is sometimes a sound of old limits breaking. Vision also keeps you patient. It reminds you that timing matters, that not everything happens immediately, that some lessons must be learned slowly. Pain speeds nothing up, but vision keeps you steady while time does its work. Pain can isolate you if you let it. It can make you feel alone, misunderstood, forgotten. Vision reconnects you to purpose. It reminds you that this season has meaning even if no one else sees it, that your effort counts even when it's unnoticed. There will be days when pain makes you question everything, your ability, your work, your direction. Vision doesn't eliminate those questions, but it stops them from controlling you. It gives you something solid to hold on to when emotions fluctuate. Pain has a way of refining desire. It separates what you want casually from what you want desperately. Vision grows stronger through pain because it proves commitment. If you're willing to endure pain for it, it must matter. Some people try to avoid pain by lowering their goals, by shrinking their dreams, by settling for less. But pain doesn't disappear when you settle, it just changes form. The pain of discipline is replaced by the pain of regret. Vision helps you choose the pain that leads somewhere. Pain teaches you compassion. When you struggle, you understand others differently. You lead differently. You listen differently. Vision turns that compassion into impact. It allows your pain to serve not just you, but others as well. Every setback carries information. Every failure holds feedback. Pain delivers lessons, but vision determines whether you learn them or waste them. Without vision, pain feels like an end. With vision, pain feels like instruction. There will be moments when pain lasts longer than you expected, when answers don't come quickly, when progress feels slow. Vision keeps you anchored. It reminds you that endurance is part of the process, not a sign that something is wrong. Pain also builds integrity. It forces you to decide who you are when things aren't working. Vision ensures that your character grows along with your results. It keeps you grounded even as you rise. A life you can't wait to wake up to is not free from pain. It is guided through pain, guided by vision, guided by purpose, guided by the belief that what you're building is worth what you're enduring. One day you will look back on the pain you thought would destroy you and realize it shaped you instead. You will see how it strengthened your mind, clarified your value, and refined your direction, And you will understand that vision didn't remove the pain, it gave it meaning. When pain has meaning, it no longer controls you. It no longer defines you. It becomes part of your story, not the end of it. And that is how pain, guided by vision, turns into power. Most people are chasing success without ever stopping to ask themselves who they are becoming in the process. They want the results, the recognition, the lifestyle, the applause, but they haven't built the identity required to sustain it. And that's why so many people collapse when success finally shows up. Because achievement without identity is fragile. It looks strong on the outside, but it has no foundation underneath. Before the money changes, before the title changes, before the circumstances change, you must change not your situation, your standards, not your environment, your self-image. Because life will never consistently rise above the level of the person you believe yourself to be. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Most people are waiting for confidence to arrive before they act. They think confidence is a feeling. It's not. Confidence is built through evidence, and evidence only comes from action. You don't wake up one day suddenly believing in yourself. You earn belief by showing yourself over and over again that you do what you say you're going to do. Identity is formed in private long before it's seen in public. It's built in the moments when nobody is watching, when no one is clapping, when quitting will be easy and invisible. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your identity strengthens. Every time you break one, it weakens. Over time, those small decisions shape who you believe you are. Many people say they want a better life, but they still identify as someone who quits when things get uncomfortable. They want discipline, but they still see themselves as someone who tries. Instead of someone who executes, you can't outperform your identity. You will always return to what feels familiar. That's why real transformation is internal before it's external. Before you become successful, you must become consistent. Before you become confident, you must become reliable to yourself. Before you become unstoppable, you must become disciplined in small things. Stop asking, how do I get there? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because the path reveals itself once the identity is in place. When your identity shifts, your behavior follows naturally. Discipline stops feeling forced. Focus stops feeling exhausting. Excellence stops feeling extreme. Identity determines how you respond to pressure. When things go wrong, do you see yourself as a victim or a problem solver? When it gets hard, do you see yourself as someone who survives or someone who grows? Your answers reveal your identity, and your identity determines your future. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your self-image. If deep down you still see yourself as inconsistent, you will sabotage consistency. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you will resist structure. Growth begins the moment you upgrade how you see yourself. This doesn't happen through affirmations alone. You can't talk yourself into a new identity. You train into one through repetition, through discomfort, through doing what you said you would do even when emotions argue against it. Every day is identity training. Every choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you wake up early instead of sleeping in, you are not just being productive. You are reinforcing an identity. When you finish what you start, you are not just completing a task. You are building character. Many people want the confidence of winners without the habits of winners. But confidence is a byproduct, not a starting point. It comes from evidence stacked over time, small wins, daily discipline, quiet consistency. Identity also determines what you tolerate. When you see yourself as disciplined, excuses feel uncomfortable. When you see yourself as focused, distractions lose their appeal. When you see yourself as committed, quitting feels out of alignment with who you are. You don't need to feel ready to act. Readiness comes from action. You don't need permission to change how you see yourself. You just need courage to start behaving like the person you want to become. A life you can't wait to wake up to is not built by chasing success. It's built by becoming someone you respect. When you respect yourself, mornings feel different. Work feels different. Struggle feels meaningful instead of draining. One day you'll realize that the biggest transformation wasn't the results you achieved. It was the identity you built along the way. And that identity will carry you further than motivation ever could. You don't become a new person the day life finally rewards you. You become a new person long before that day arrives. When nobody sees the effort and nobody guarantees the outcome. Identity is forged in uncertainty. It is shaped when you choose to show up without proof that will work out. Most people want assurance before commitment, but growth doesn't work that way. Commitment comes first. Identity forms next. Results follow last. The version of you that wants success is not the same version that can sustain it. That's why so many people self-destruct when things finally start going well. Their habits don't match their opportunities. Their mindset doesn't match their responsibility. Their identity hasn't caught up with their circumstances. And when pressure arrives, they revert to who they really are, not who they pretend to be. If you want a different future, you must become someone different in the present. Not louder, not more confident on the surface, more disciplined internally, more honest with yourself, more consistent when no one is watching. Identity is not what you say about yourself. It's what you do repeatedly when no one is checking. You can't build a powerful life on a weak self-image. If you still see yourself as someone who starts strong and finishes weak, that belief will sabotage you every time. If you see yourself as someone who quits when it gets uncomfortable, discomfort will always defeat you. Your behavior will always obey your deepest belief about who you are. That's why change feels so hard. You're not just changing actions. You're challenging an identity you've lived with for years. And the old identity will fight back. It will remind you of past failure. It will replay old mistakes. It will tell you that this is just another phase. But growth requires you to act in spite of those voices. You don't wait until you feel like a disciplined person to live discipline. You live discipline until it becomes who you are. Identity follows behavior, not the other way around. Every disciplined action rewrites your self-image little by little. Over time, what felt forced becomes natural. What felt heavy becomes normal. This is why small commitments matter so much. Big promises mean nothing if you can't keep small ones. Waking up when you said you would, or finishing what you start. Showing up even when motivation disappears. These moments don't just improve your productivity, they reshape how you see yourself. Most people underestimate how much power there is in keeping a promise to yourself. When you break promises to yourself repeatedly, you lose self-trust. And without self-trust, confidence collapses. You hesitate, you second guess. You rely on external validation because internally, you don't believe yourself anymore. But when you start honoring your word, even in small things, you rebuild that trust. You stop needing constant motivation. You stop waiting for permission. You move with quiet confidence because you know you'll do what needs to be done. Identity also determines how you handle failure. When you identify as someone who grows, failure becomes feedback. When you identify as someone who avoids discomfort, failure becomes proof that you should quit. Same failure, different identity, completely different outcome. You don't need to destroy your old identity overnight. You just need to stop feeding it. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you starve the old version. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you weaken the old narrative. Eventually, it loses control. The strongest people you admire didn't start confident. They became confident through evidence, through repetition, through resilience, through showing themselves that they could endure discomfort without collapsing. Confidence is earned through experience, not imagined through words. When identity shifts, standards rise automatically. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop tolerating behavior that doesn't align with who you're becoming. Excuses feel uncomfortable because they don't match your self-image anymore. This is where real freedom comes from. Not freedom to do whatever you want, but freedom from being controlled by your impulses, your moods, and your fears. Discipline gives you that freedom. Identity protects it. A life you can't wait to wake up to begins when you stop chasing validation and start building self-respect. Self-respect doesn't come from achievement alone. It comes from effort, from integrity, from knowing that even when things are hard, you didn't abandon yourself. One day you wake up and realize that the biggest victory wasn't the success you achieved. It was the person you became while chasing it. And that person will be capable of far more than you ever imagined. Your life is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in quiet ones, in the small decisions you make when nobody is watching, in the habits you repeat so often that you stop noticing them. People want to believe that one big opportunity will change everything, that one breakthrough will rewrite their story. But the truth is simpler and harder at the same time. Your future is being written daily by what you do consistently, not occasionally. Most people underestimate the power of a single day. They think today doesn't matter because it looks ordinary. They believe they can waste today and somehow still win tomorrow. But days are not isolated events. They are bricks, and every brick you lay is shaping the structure of your life. Whether you're aware of it or not, you are building something every single day. Your habits are your future in disguise. What you repeat becomes your identity. What you practice becomes your standard. What you tolerate becomes your lifestyle. You don't wake up one day with discipline or confidence or focus. You grow into those things by doing the same small actions over and over again until they shape who you are. People say they want change, but they resist changing their daily routines. They want a different life, but they keep repeating the same behaviors. That contradiction is why progress feels impossible for so many. You cannot outgrow the habits you refuse to outgrow. Your morning habits decide the tone of your day. How you wake up affects how you think. How you think affects how you act. And how you act determines what you become. When you wake up with intention, the day feels purposeful. When you wake up reactively, the day feels chaotic. Small habits don't feel powerful in the moment. Skipping one workout doesn't seem dangerous. Procrastinating for one day doesn't feel costly. Wasting 1 hour doesn't feel like a big deal. But habits compound silently. What you ignore today multiplies tomorrow. Discipline is not about intensity, it's about consistency. Doing a little every day beats doing a lot once in a while. That's how real transformation happens. Slowly, quietly, relentlessly. Your habits either move you closer to the life you want or further away from it. There is no neutral habit. Everything you do is either building momentum or creating resistance. You are either reinforcing discipline or reinforcing excuses. Most people want motivation to carry them. Motivation is unreliable. Habits are loyal. Habits don't care how you feel, they show up automatically. That's why the most successful people don't rely on willpower. They rely on system. A system protects you on days when motivation disappears. It keeps you moving when emotions fluctuate. It allows progress even when confidence is low. Habits create stability in a world that is constantly changing. Your habits shape your self-respect. Every time you do what you say you would do, you build trust with yourself. Every time you don't, you weaken it. Over time, that trust or distrust becomes your self-image. People who struggle with confidence often don't realize the root cause. It's not lack of ability. It's lack of self-trust. They've broken too many promises to themselves. Habits rebuild that trust one action at a time. Your future doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. Missing one day won't ruin you. Quitting will. The danger is not failure. The danger is abandoning the process. Habits also shape your thinking. What you read daily becomes your mindset. What you listen to daily becomes your inner voice. What you focus on daily becomes your reality. You become what you repeatedly expose yourself to. If you feed your mind distractions, drama, and negativity, clarity becomes impossible. If you feed your mind discipline, growth, and challenge, focus becomes natural. You don't rise accident. You rise intentionally through habit. Many people wait for their circumstances to change before they change their habits. Circumstances change because habits change. You don't need a new life to build new habits. You need new habits to build a new life. Your habits decide your emotional state. Chaos creates stress. Structure creates peace. When your days are intentional, your mind is calmer. When your days are random, your mind feels overwhelmed. Small habits done daily create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates courage. Courage creates opportunity. But it all starts with the smallest action repeated consistently. Your habits are voting for your future self. Every day you are casting a vote. You don't need every vote to be perfect. You just need most of them to align with who you want to become. A life you can't wait to wake up to is not created by luck. It is created by routine, by showing up, by choosing growth, even when it feels boring, by staying committed when excitement fades. One day you will wake up and realize that the life you're living didn't appear suddenly. It was built quietly by the habits you practiced when nobody was paying attention. And when that realization hits, you'll understand the truth. Your habits didn't just shape your days, they shaped your destiny. Most people don't realize how much power they give away every morning before the day even begins. They wake up and immediately hand control to their phone, their worries, their unfinished problems. Before they've even stood up, their mind is already reacting instead of creating. And that reaction becomes a habit. Over time, living reactively feels normal, and intentional living feels exhausting. But the truth is, exhaustion doesn't come from effort. It comes from chaos. From days without structure, from habits without direction. Habits are not just action. They are decisions you've automated. They remove the need to negotiate with yourself. When you build the right habits, you don't have to fight yourself every day. The fight disappears because the decision has already been made. That's why habits are so powerful. They free mental energy so you can focus on growth instead of constant self-control. Many people think freedom means doing whatever they want. In reality, freedom comes from discipline. Without habits, your emotions run your life. You work when you feel like it. You quit when you're uncomfortable. You rest when you're stressed, even if nothing has been accomplished. Habits flip that equation. They allow you to act based on commitment, not mood. Every habit you repeat is shaping your nervous system. Your brain learns what to expect. If you constantly avoid difficulty, your brain becomes sensitive to discomfort. Small challenges feel overwhelming. But when you consistently do hard things, your tolerance grows. Discipline becomes familiar. Effort feels normal. This is how habits quietly rewire who you are. People often ask how to stay consistent. The truth is, consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from simplicity. When habits are too complex, they collapse under pressure. The strongest habits are simple enough to survive bad days. That's why small habits matter more than big plans. Big plans excite you. Small habits carry you. Your habits determine how you experience time. When your days are structured, time slips away and leaves regret behind. When your days are intentional, time feels full, even if life is busy. Productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently. Habits also determine your emotional resilience. When your routines are stable, external chaos has less power over you. You may not control everything that happens, but you control what you return to daily. That return point is your habit system. It grounds you when life feels unstable. Most people wait for confidence before taking action, but habits create confidence automatically. When you show up every day, even imperfectly, you send yourself a powerful message. I can be trusted. That message changes how you think, how you speak, how you move through the world. Habits don't just shape success, they shape peace. A disciplined day creates a calm night. You sleep better when you know you gave effort. Guilt disappears when action replaces avoidance. Rest feels earned instead of anxious. Many people sabotage themselves by trying to change everything at once. They overhaul their life in a burst of emotion, then burn out when reality hits. Sustainable change is quieter. It's choosing one habit and honoring it until it becomes part of who you are. Then adding another. Growth is layered, not rushed. Your habits reflect your priorities more honestly than your words ever could. You can say you want growth, but your habits reveal what you truly value. Time never lies. What you consistently give time to is what you are building. Habits also protect you from fear. Fear thrives in inaction. It grows when you hesitate. When you act daily, fear has less space to expand. Action shrinks fear. Routine weakens doubt. You don't need perfect conditions to build habits. You need commitment. Bad days are not an excuse to quit. They are the reason habits exist. Habits are not built on your best days. They are built on your worst ones. A habit doesn't have to feel good to be valuable. Many of the most important habits feel boring, repetitive, and unexciting. But boredom is often a sign of mastery and progress. The basics repeated daily create extraordinary outcomes over time. Your habits decide whether your potential stays theoretical or becomes real. Everyone has ideas. Everyone has dreams. Habits are what separate those who imagine from those who build. Action repeated is what turns possibility into reality. The life you admire in others is usually the result of habits you don't see. Quiet mornings, consistent effort, uncelebrated discipline. There are no shortcuts that bypass habits. Every path leads back to daily action. Habits also influence how you handle success. When your habits are strong, success doesn't inflate your ego. It stabilizes you. You don't lose yourself because your routines anchor you. Without habits, success becomes dangerous. It removes structure instead of strengthening it. And your habits teach others how to treat you. When you respect your time, others follow. When you honor your commitments, trust grows. Discipline earns respect quietly. A life you can't wait to wake up to doesn't come from excitement alone. Excitement fades. Habits remain. They carry you through seasons of doubt, fatigue, and uncertainty. They keep you moving when inspiration is silent. One day you'll look back and realize that your future didn't change because of one big decision. It changed because you made the same small decision every day. To show up. To show up. To try again. It's the power of habit. They don't demand perfection. They demand presence. And presence repeated daily creates a future that no longer feels distant. It feels inevitable. There comes a point in every person's life when excuses stop working. Not because life becomes easier, but because the cost of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of change. At first, excuses feel like protection. They help you explain delays, justify mistakes, and soften disappointment. But over time, excuses quietly turn into chains. They limit movement. They reduce belief. They slowly convince you that your circumstances are stronger than your will. Growth begins the moment you take full ownership of your life. Ownership does not mean blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. It means accepting responsibility for what happens next. It is the understanding that while you may not control where you started, you do control the direction you choose from here. That realization is uncomfortable because it removes the safety net of excuses. But it is also empowering because it puts the power back in your hand. Most people want change without discomfort. They want new results while keeping old habits, old mindsets, and old routines. But transformation demands separation. You cannot carry every part of your old self into your new life. Some beliefs must be challenged. Some relationships must be reevaluated. Some comforts must be sacrificed, not because they are bad, but because they no longer serve who you are becoming. Discomfort is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is often a sign that you are doing something new. The human mind resists unfamiliar effort. It prefers predictability, even when predictability leads to dissatisfaction. This is why many people stay stuck in situations they complain about daily. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. True growth requires you to sit with discomfort without running back to old patterns. It requires patience when results are slow and faith when progress is invisible. The hardest part of growth is not the work itself, but the waiting. The waiting tests your belief. It asks whether you are committed to the process or only attached to the outcome. There will be moments when your effort feels unseen. You will wake up early, stay disciplined, make sacrifices, and still feel like nothing is changing. These moments are dangerous because this is where most people quit. Not because they failed, but because success was still forming beneath the surface. Growth often happens quietly before it becomes visible. Roots grow before branches rise. You must understand that consistency is not loud. It does not announce itself. Shows up in small choices made daily, especially when no one is watching. It is easy to perform when there's applause. It is much harder to remain disciplined in silence, but silence is where character is built. At some point, you will realize that motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Discipline, however, remains steady. Discipline does not wait to feel ready. It acts because a commitment was made. When discipline becomes your foundation, progress becomes inevitable, not accidental. You cannot think your way into a better life without acting your way into one. Reflection is important, but action is essential. Insight without execution leads to frustration. Knowledge without application becomes a burden. What you know will not change your life unless you move on it. Fear will try to stop you by asking questions that have no immediate answers. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I look foolish? These questions are not meant to protect you. They are meant to delay you. Waiting for certainty is another form of avoidance. Clarity comes from movement, not from standing still. You will never feel fully ready. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. Those who wait to feel confident often wait forever. Confidence grows after action, not before it. Each step forward, no matter how small, builds evidence that you are capable. Comparison will also try to steal your focus. You will look at others who seem ahead and feel behind. But you don't see their full journey. You don't see their struggles, delays, or doubts. You only see a snapshot, not the process. Comparison ignores context and punishes progress. The only comparison that matters is who you are today versus who you were yesterday. Your pace does not determine your worth. Slow progress is still progress. Rest does not mean quitting. Pausing to recover is different from stopping altogether. Learn to listen to your body without listening to your body, without listening to your excuse. There's a difference between self-care and self-sabotage. As you grow, you may outgrow people, environments, and versions of yourself. This can feel lonely. Not everyone will understand your changes. Some will question you. Some will feel threatened. Some will try to pull you back to what feels familiar to them. This is not a sign that you are wrong. It is often a sign that you are evolving. You do not need everyone's approval to move forward. You need alignment with your values and commitment to your goals. When you stop seeking validation externally, you begin to build confidence internally. Inner confidence is quieter, but far more stable. There will be days when you doubt yourself deeply, days when quitting feels like relief. In those moments, remember why you started. Not the surface reason, but the deeper one. Remember the frustration that pushed you to want more. Remember the version of yourself that was tired of settling. That memory can carry you through moments of weakness. You are allowed to change your mind, your direction, and your definition of success. Growth is not a straight line. It is a process of learning, adjusting, and recommitting. Failure does not mean you are incapable. It means you are learning. Every mistake carries information. Use it. At some point, you will realize that discipline is an act of self-respect. Showing up for yourself daily sends a message that your future matters. That message compounds over time. It shapes how you think, how you speak, and how you act. Your environment matters more than your willpower. If you surround yourself with distractions, negativity, and complacency, growth becomes harder. If you design an environment that supports focus, discipline becomes easier. Change what you see daily, and your behavior will follow. Success is not about intensity. It is about longevity. Burning bright for a short time achieves little. Steady effort over time changes everything. You don't need to do everything today. You need to do something consistently. You are not behind in life. You are on your own timeline. The pressure to meet invisible deadlines is unnecessary. Progress cannot be rushed without being damaged. Trust the process you are building, even when the results take time to appear. One day you will look back and realize that the moments you wanted to quit were the moments that shaped you most. The resistance strengthened you. The struggle refined you. The discipline transformed you. You are becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before. Not because life became easier, but because you chose to rise to the challenge. That choice, repeated daily, changes everything. This journey is not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about becoming someone you respect when you are alone. When you can look at yourself honestly and know that you tried. Peace follows. Keep going. Not because it is easy, but because you are capable. Not because success is guaranteed, but because growth is earned through persistence. Every step forward matters, even when it feels small. The future you want is not built in one moment of courage. It is built in thousands of quiet decisions to continue, to show up and to believe in yourself, even when doubt is loud. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you will wake up and recognize the life you once imagined is now the life you are living. Not because of luck, but because you refuse to stop. There will come a morning when you wake up and something feels different. Not because all your problems are gone. Not because life has suddenly become perfect, but because you have changed. Your mindset will be stronger. Your tolerance for excuses will be lower. Your belief in yourself will be deeper and quieter. You will realize that the real transformation didn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happened slowly, through discipline, through consistency, through choosing not to quit when quitting felt easier. You will understand that the life you once dreamed about was never just about money, status, or recognition. It was about freedom. Freedom from self-doubt. Freedom from fear. Freedom from the version of yourself that kept settling for less because it felt safe. And that freedom was earned, not given. You will look back at the days when motivation was low, when progress felt invisible, when your effort went unnoticed, and you will see those days different. You will realize those were the days that mattered most. Those were the days when your character was built, when your discipline was tested, when your commitment became real. The truth is, most people never fail because they lack talent or intelligence. They fail because they give up too soon. They stop showing up when results don't come fast enough. They quit when discomfort lasts longer than expected. You chose a different path. You chose patience over panic, growth over comfort, long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. You learned that success is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. You learned that confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you showed up when you didn't feel like it, you strengthened that confidence. Every time you pushed forward despite doubt, you proved to yourself that you are capable. You stopped asking for permission to become better. You stopped waiting for the perfect time. You realized that time will pass whether you act or not. And instead of letting it slip away, you decided to use it. You decided that your future deserved effort, even when your present felt uncomfortable. Along the way, you learned to forgive yourself for past mistakes, not to excuse them, but to release their power over you. You understood that carrying guilt and regret only slows growth. Learning from the past and letting it go creates space for progress. You stopped defining yourself by where you came from and started defining yourself by where you were going. You also learned that not everyone would understand your journey. Some people would doubt you. Some would question your choices. Some would feel uncomfortable as you change. And instead of letting that stop you, you accepted it, you realize that growth often requires distance, that not everyone is meant to come with you to the next level. And that's okay. You became more intentional with your time, more selective with your energy. You understood that focus is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Distractions lost their appeal because you had something bigger to work toward. You stopped wasting effort on things that didn't align with your goals. You learned that discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. That structure creates freedom. That routine removes decision fatigue and protects your progress. When motivation disappeared, discipline carried you forward. And that consistency over time changed everything. There were moments when fear tried to convince you to stop. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. But you learned that fear never disappears. It just gets quieter when you move anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. You discovered that progress doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels exhausting. Sometimes it feels repetitive. But those feelings don't mean you're on the wrong path. They mean you're doing real work. Meaningful growth is rarely glamorous. As you continued, you noticed something powerful happening. You started trusting yourself more. You stopped overthinking every decision. You stopped doubting your ability to figure things out. You became resilient. When setbacks came, and you didn't collapse. You adjusted. You learned. You kept going. You realized that success is not one destination. It's a way of living. It's how you handle adversity, how you treat yourself, how you respond when things don't go as planned. It's the standard you hold yourself to, even when no one else is watching. The life you're building is not loud. It doesn't need constant validation. It's solid. It's grounded. It's based on effort, integrity, and growth. You no longer chase approval. You chase alignment. Alignment with your values. Alignment with your goals. Alignment with the person you want to become. And one day you will look at your life and realize that you no longer dread mornings. You wake up with purpose. Not because every day is easy, but because every day matters. You have direction. You have momentum. You have belief. You understand now that waiting for motivation was never the answer. Building discipline was. Waiting for confidence was never the answer. Taking action was. Waiting for life to change was never the answer. Changing yourself was. You didn't become who you are overnight. You became this person by refusing to quit, by choosing growth when comfort was tempting, by staying committed when progress was slow, by believing in yourself when doubt was loud. And that belief, earned through action, cannot be taken away. This is what it means to create a life you can't wait to wake up to. Not a life without struggle, but a life with purpose. Not a life without fear, but a life where fear no longer controls you. Not a life handed to you, but a life built by you. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep choosing discipline over excuses. Keep choosing growth over comfort. Because every step you take today is shaping the life you will live tomorrow. And when you finally look back, you won't just be proud of what you achieved, you'll be proud of who you became. And even after all of this, understand something important. The journey does not end at confidence, success, or stability. It continues at responsibility. Responsibility to protect what you built. Responsibility to remain humble. Responsibility to stay disciplined, even when life finally starts to feel good. Because comfort has a quiet way of undoing what struggle created. If you stop paying attention, you will reach moments where things are easier than they used to be, where progress feels natural, where results show up without constant resistance. And that is exactly when growth must become intentional again. Because what built you will not automatically sustain you. Every new level requires a renewed commitment to your standards. Never forget how hard it was to become this version of yourself. Never forget the mornings you didn't want to wake up. The nights you questioned yourself. The moments you felt alone in your discipline. That memory is not meant to keep you stuck in the past. It is meant to keep you grounded in the future. Gratitude keeps success from turning into arrogance. You are no longer chasing motivation. You are protecting momentum. You understand now that momentum is fragile. It is strengthened by routine, clarity, and purpose, and weakened by distraction, ego, and complacency. The discipline that once felt heavy is now the very thing that gives your life structure and peace. You will also realize that your growth has made you an example, whether you intended it or not. Someone is watching how you handle pressure. Someone is observing how you respond to setbacks. Someone is learning what discipline looks like by watching how you live. And that does not mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be real. There will still be days when doubt shows up, days when fatigue creeps in, days when old habits knock quietly at the door. Growth does not eliminate these moments. It prepares you for them. You no longer panic when they arrive. You recognize them. You manage them. You move forward anyway. You now understand that self-belief is not loud affirmation. It is calm certainty. It is knowing that no matter what happens, you can adapt, you can learn, you can recover. You are not fragile anymore. You are flexible, and that flexibility is strength. Life will continue to challenge you in new ways, new responsibilities, new pressures, new expectations. But you are no longer intimidated by growth. You've learned that challenge is not something to fear. It is something to rise into. The weight that once would have crushed you now builds you. You no longer measure your worth by outcomes alone. You measure it by effort, integrity, and consistency. You take pride in showing up fully, even when the result is uncertain. That pride cannot be taken from you because it is earned daily. You have also learned that rest is not weakness. Recovery is part of longevity. You no longer confuse burnout with dedication. You respect your limits without surrendering your ambition. You understand that sustainable growth requires balance, not extremes. As your life expands, so does your responsibility to choose wisely. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every path aligns with your value. Discernment becomes just as important as drive. Saying no becomes a form of self-respect. You are no longer in a rush to prove anything. Urgency has been replaced by clarity. Pressure has been replaced by purpose. You trust the pace of your progress because you trust the process you've committed to. And perhaps the most powerful realization of all is this: you no longer need permission to believe in yourself. You no longer need validation to move forward. Your confidence is internal now, quiet, stable, unshaken by opinions or temporary setbacks. This is not the end of your story. This is the foundation. Everything you build from here will be influenced by the discipline, mindset, and resilience you have developed. And because of that, whatever comes next will be handled with strength instead of fear. When life tests you again, and it will, you won't ask, why is this happening to me? You'll ask, what is this preparing me for? Yes, it alone changes everything, so keep honoring your commitments. Keep protecting your focus. Keep respecting the process that changed you. Because the life you can't wait to wake up to is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a standard you live by every single day. And as long as you keep choosing growth, choosing discipline, and choosing yourself, you will never truly be lost again.